Let me begin with a simple thought. Words are powerful, more powerful than most people will ever understand. They build, they destroy, they lead, they limit. Words shape our thoughts. Thoughts shape our actions. Actions shape our results. And results shape our lives. You see, life doesn't just happen to you. Life responds to you. And the way life responds is deeply tied to the words you speak every day. Some people are building mansions with their words. Others are tearing down bridges, tearing down dreams, tearing down themselves. They say things like, "I'll never make it. I'm not good at this. Why even try?" They're not just saying words. They're speaking their future. Now here's what I want you to catch. Whatever you talk about grows. Talk fear, it grows. Talk doubt, it grows. Talk possibilities, and possibilities grow. Let me ask you this. What are you saying when no one else is listening? What's the dialogue in your head? Because let me tell you, friend, you live in that dialogue. And if the language in your head is full of fear, full of shame, full of defeat, you won't rise. You won't believe. You won't build. You'll just survive. But we're not here to survive. We're here to thrive. And to thrive, you've got to master the art of speaking life. Now, I'm not saying you lie to yourself. This isn't about faking confidence or pretending problems don't exist. It's about speaking the truth of who you can become. Speak to the potential, not the problem. Speak to the future, not just the fear. Don't say if I can, say I will. Don't say I hope, say I must. Words like that shift the atmosphere. First in your head, then in your life. I remember a young man came up to me after a seminar. He said, "Mr. Rohn, I'm tired. I feel stuck. I'm not sure if I'll ever make it." I looked him in the eyes and said, "Don't ever say that again, not even as a joke." He was surprised. But I told him the truth. Every word you speak is a command to your future. If you speak defeat, your future obeys. If you speak hope, your future listens. That young man took it seriously. He started changing how he spoke. And years later, he built a business, helped his family, and came back to thank me. All because he changed his vocabulary. What do you call yourself? Do you say, "I'm just lazy. I'm not the type to win. I've always been like this"? Those aren't labels. They're life sentences. And you're not lazy. You just haven't found a reason to burn. You're not a failure. You're still learning. Change the label, and you'll change the level. Here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your whole life in one day. Just start with the words. Every morning, speak what you want to become. Say things like, "I'm focused. I'm disciplined. I follow through. I'm becoming a person of excellence." It doesn't have to be loud, but it has to be daily. Words whispered with belief carry more power than words shouted with doubt. The next time you look in the mirror, don't just see your reflection. Speak to your direction. Tell yourself where you're going, not where you've been. Tell yourself what you're becoming, not what you fear. Because if you want to change your world, you've got to start by changing your words. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become starts with what you say. But we're going deeper into the vocabulary of strength, courage, and belief. We'll explore why "I can" is more powerful than "I might," the secret to building a success vocabulary, and how to use words to unlock your confidence. You don't want to miss it. Words do more than describe reality. They shape it. Speak strength, and strength will follow. There's a vocabulary that creates weakness, and there's a vocabulary that builds strength. You can tell which one someone uses just by listening. They speak fear. They speak limitation. They speak hesitation. And before they know it, they become what they say. But there's another way, a better way. You can speak life. Speak what builds, what encourages. Speak what lifts. Because when you change the vocabulary of your life, you change the trajectory of your life. I can versus I can't. Let's talk about two of the most powerful phrases in any language. I can. I can't now. Here's the thing about I can't. Most of the time, it's not true. It's just a habit. It's easier to say, I can't, than to try. Easier to say, I can't, than to learn. Easier to say, I can't, than to fail one sip and try again. But every time you say it, you take one step back from possibility. It's not the truth. It's just a habit. And habits can be replaced. Start saying, I can, even if you don't feel it yet. Even if it feels like a stretch. Say it anyway. Say it until you believe it. Say it until your feet follow your mouth. Because what you say, your body begins to obey. You've heard of a vision board. You've heard of a business plan. But let me ask you, have you ever built a success vocabulary? Words that remind you of your potential. Words that redirect your mind when it drifts into doubt. Words that keep you steady when life gets shaky. Here's a few to start with. I am capable. I am committed. Grow from every challenge. I show up. I finish what I start. I'm learning. I'm getting stronger. I belong in rooms of growth. These aren't just phrases. They are identity statements. When you say them enough, you begin to live them. Let me remind you of what I've said before. Words are seeds. When spoken with intent, they grow into habits, and habits grow into destiny. That's not poetry. That's a fact of life. Your vocabulary isn't just describing who you are. It's deciding who you become. So don't just clean up your appearance. Clean up your language. Don't just look sharp. Sound strong. Because words reveal whether you're on the path or still circling the starting line. I once knew two young men, both trying to start a business, both full of potential. Both had struggles. But one kept saying, it's too hard. No one wants what I offer. I'm not sure I can do this. The other said, it's tough, but I'm tougher. If it's not working, I'll adjust. I'm made for this. And guess who succeeded? It wasn't about who had more talent or better timing. It was about who spoke strength into their life and who spoke failure before the game even started. Let me give you something practical, a language ritual. Every morning, before the noise of the world begins, speak 3 words of strength to yourself. Not from memory intention. Choose them. Declare them. It might sound like, I lead, I persist, I create, or may beg, I grow, I serve, I succeed. Make it personal. Make it consistent. Do it for 30 days, and you'll notice something. You'll walk different. You'll talk different. You'll face challenges different. Because the words you say each day are silently shaping the way you show up in the world. Speak life. Not because life is always easy, but because speaking life is what makes it worth living. You want to become confident. Speak like someone who's becoming confident. You want to be respected. Speak like someone who respects themselves. You want to win. Speak like a winner. Even on the days when you feel like you're losing. Because the world doesn't just respond to your effort. It responds to your expectation. And your expectation is hidden in your language. So here's the invitation. Speak what you seek until you see what you spoke. And then keep speaking it. Because strength is not something you find. It's something you build. Word by word. Next, we'll talk about belief. Why the words used don't just influence your mindset. They build or break your belief system. We'll cover how to sell yourself on your dreams. Why repetition creates belief. And how to replace the vocabulary of limitation with a language of conviction. You've got to believe in the possibilities. You've got to believe in the future. You've got to believe in yourself. You will never sell the world on a dream you haven't first sold yourself. See, we don't get what we want in life. We get what we truly believe. And real belief doesn't start in a book. It doesn't start in a seminar. It doesn't even start in your circumstances. It starts in your language. The way you talk to yourself, the way you narrate your life, the way you describe what's possible. That's where belief begins. Let's talk about something no one hears, but everyone feels. your inner conversation. It's always running, always commending you, whether forward or backward. Most people don't notice it, but it's there. You say things to yourself like, I'm not ready. I've never done this before. I probably don't have what it takes. And let me tell you something, you can't win in public if you lose in private. The inner conversation must change first. And that change begins with words. Belief isn't magic, it's repetition. You don't wake up one day with confidence, you build it. One word at a time, one thought at a time. You speak belief before you feel belief. You speak conviction before you walk in it. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Yes, I've said it. You don't just chant your way to success, but don't underestimate the power of repetition. Say it long enough and your subconscious starts to accept it. Act on it. Build around it. That's how belief forms. Not in a moment, but in many, many quiet decisions to keep speaking the truth even when it feels foreign. You want to change your life. Change how you describe it. Don't say, I'm just trying to get by. Say, I'm preparing to thrive. Don't say, I've always been this way. Say, I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm becoming. Because language frames belief, and belief fuels action. And action changes everything. Here's how it works: words, behavior, results, reinforce belief. That's the loop. If your words are negative, your belief shrinks. If your belief shrinks, you hesitate. If you hesitate, you fail to act. And failure to act brings poor results. Poor results reinforce weak beliefs. That's the downward spiral. But let's flip it. Use words of power. Say, I can learn this. Say, I'm resourceful. Say, I always find a way. Suddenly, your belief gets a boost. Your action becomes bold. Your results improve. And guess what? You now believe more deeply. That's the upward spiral. It begins with a word. I once worked with a young man, sharp, focused, but buried in doubt. He had the skills. He had the ambition, but he didn't have the belief. He'd say things like, I'm just average. I don't have the background for this. People like me don't make it big. So I asked him, what if none of that is true? What if the only thing holding you back is the story you keep telling yourself? He paused. He said nothing. But a week later, he came back with a new script. I'm still learning, but I've got what it takes. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm on my way. I may not be from a powerful family, but I'm building a powerful future. That was the turning point. He started acting different, pitching better, leading stronger, all because he changed his self-talk. Before you pitch the world, pitch yourself. Before you ask others to believe in you, show yourself you believe. Look in the mirror and speak strength, speak vision, speak future. Don't wait to feel worthy. Talk yourself into worthiness. Don't wait for the applause. Talk yourself into movement. Because here's the truth. You must become your own biggest believer before anyone else will. And the language of belief is where it starts. When fear shows up and says, you're not good enough, you respond, I'm growing into greatness. When doubt whispers, you've failed before, you say, failure taught me. I'm better because of it. When your past screams it, you've always been stuck. You declare, I'm moving now, and I won't stop. That's how you build belief. Not by denying the past, but by rewriting your response. The world mirrors your inner state. If you walk in unsure, they feel it. If you speak with doubt, they echo it. But if you walk in with belief, real belief, the world starts to believe with you. So let me say it plainly, your words don't just influence others. They shape your own identity. Speak like someone who knows where they're going. Speak like someone who's becoming unstoppable. Speak like someone who already sees the future and is walking toward it. Because once you convince yourself, convincing the world becomes the easy part. Next, we'll go deeper into the transformation power of reframing. How to take your pain, your past, your struggle list, and give them new meaning using the right words. We'll exploring how champions talk about challenges, the difference between reaction and reframing, and how to turn setbacks into fuel. Just by changing your narrative, one of the greatest gifts you can give someone is encouragement. Words that lift, words that build, words that say you matter. Let me tell you something powerful. It's not what you say when people are watching that matters most. It's what you say when no one else sees. At home, at work, in private, in passing. Words are seeds. And when you speak into people, you plant something. Something that grows, or something that dies. Your words shape not only your world, but there's two. Think back with me to a time when someone said just the right thing. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, a coach, a friend, and they looked at you and said, I believe in you. You can do this. You're not what happened to you. Didn't that feel like fuel in your chest? Like wind in your sails? That's how powerful one word can be. There are two kinds of people in this world. The kind that walk into a room and say, there you are. And the kind that walk in and say, here I am. One uplifts. One demands attention. One is a giver, the other always taking. And the difference isn't talent, it isn't education, it's vocabulary. It's what they choose to say and how they say it. Words do two things, they either inspire or they destroy. Choose wisely. You don't have to give a speech to change someone's life. Sometimes all it takes is one moment. A child spills something. You could yelp or you could teach. A friend makes a mistake. You could criticize it or you could coach. A partner is struggling. You could blame it or you could build. You see, we shape people not in big grand moments, but in the small daily choices to speak life or to stay silent. People often ask me, Jim, what makes a great leader? My answer, the ability to speak what others need to hear when they need to hear it. Encouragement isn't fluff. It's oxygen. When someone's on the edge of quitting and you say, I see you. I see your effort. Don't give up. That's leadership. When someone's growing slowly and you say, I notice how far you've come. That's leadership. Not just position. Not just title. Leadership is language. And the best leaders speak life consistently. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a time to correct. There's a time to challenge. But here's the key: correct without crushing. Challenge without condemning. Speak truth, but speak it with grace. It's not just what you say. It's how you say it. You can tell someone the truth in a way that lifts them, or you can weaponize it and tear them down. Wisdom is learning the difference. I believe something deeply. That words can change the room. You can walk into a discouraged team, a divided home, a heavy environment, and by speaking hope by pointing to the future, by calling out the good, you shift the atmosphere. Speak love and the air gets lighter. Speak vision and the team gets clear. Speak courage and the fear gets quieter. That's not magic. That's mastery of language. Encouragement isn't a one-time event. It's a habit. It's a choice you make every day. To say thank you more often. To say I'm proud of you before they ask for it. To say you've got this, even when they're doubting themselves. Here's a simple ruling: if you think something good about someone, say it. Don't assume they know. Tell them. You never know how badly someone needed to hear exactly that. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is to speak not to where they arrive, but to where they're going. That's what mentors do. That's what leaders do. That's what friends do. They say, you're more than this moment. I see the leader in you. There's greatness in you that's yet to come out. When you speak to someone's potential, not their problems, you awaken something in them. That's power. So let me challenge you today and be the voice of change in someone's world. Be the one who sees the gold beneath the dirt. Be the one who calls it out, who speaks it boldly and watches them rise. You don't need a microphone. You don't need a stage. You need intention and the right words. Speak life, because someone's breakthrough might be on the other side of your sentence. In our final part, we'll pull it all together in, from words to action. Let your language move you. You've learned how to change yourself, change your relationships, and rewire belief through language. Now it's time to turn your vocabulary into velocity. How to speak in a way that pushes you forward, day by day, into the life you were meant to live. The words you speak today echo in eternity. Speak with purpose. Speak with care. Speak to leave something behind that matters. Let me ask you something important. What will they remember you for? Will they remember your wealth, your achievements, your titles? Maybe. But I'll tell you what people really remember. Your words. They remember how you made them feel. They remember what you said when they were down. They remember the things you spoke when they had no strength left to stand. Words are not just tools. They're seeds of legacy. They outlive us. Every conversation you have, every sentence you speak, it's writing the script of your life. Not just the story others tell about you, but the story you tell about yourself. Words shape perception, and perception becomes reality. If you want to leave behind something meaningful, it begins with speaking meaningfully now. Don't wait until you're successful to speak like a leader. Don't wait until you have followers to speak like someone worth following. Start now. Speak with the weight of your future in mind. Here's something to remember: words echo. A compliment today becomes confidence tomorrow. A correction today becomes wisdom tomorrow. A story today becomes strategy for someone tomorrow. Words do not disappear into thin air. They multiply in the minds of others. When you speak wisdom, it doesn't just help one person. That person passes it on and on. That's legacy. Too many people only speak about what is. They talk about their problems. They talk about the weather. They talk about the news. But legacy builders, they talk about what could be. They speak of vision. They speak of change. They speak of ideas and values that last. Let me tell you, if you want to be remembered, don't just describe your reality. Shape it with your words. Speak where you want to go. Speak what matters. Speak like you're building something that will outlive you. There is no greater legacy than helping someone believe in themselves. You don't need a statue in your name. You don't need a book about your life. But if you helped someone rise when they were low, if your words became their foundation, you've been something powerful. Maybe you said, "You can do more. Don't give up now. I'm proud of who you're becoming." But that doesn't cost a penny. But it pays in memories that last generations. Be intentional with your daily language. Legacy doesn't happen someday. It happens today. In the hallway. In the kitchen. In the meeting. On the phone. It happens when you choose not to gossip. When you choose not to tear down. When you choose to speak peace instead of panic. Hope instead of hurt. Vision instead of fear. Be the kind of person whose words create light when the room feels dark. That's legacy. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? Let that be heard. If you believe in discipline, speak about it. If you believe in kindness, model it with your words. If you believe in growth, tell people what you're learning. Don't keep your principles to yourself. Speak them. Live them. And leave them behind for someone who needs a compass when you're gone. The final question: what will they repeat? Here's a question I love to ask: what are the words they'll quote when you're not in the room? Will they say, "He always believed in me. She reminded me to keep going. He taught me to think bigger"? Or will they say nothing at all? Speak in such a way that your words get repeated for the right reasons. Let your words be so rich they become currency for generations. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be perfect. But you do have to be intentional. Every word is a brick, and you are building something. A home, a bridge, a monument of meaning. Start today. Speak well. And when it's all said and done, let the world say, "They left us better than they found us, because of what they spoke and how they lived." That's the language of legacy.